inspections are taken care of, all disclosures are taken care of, and that's what we get paid for. So you as a buyer don't even have to worry about that. Move out date, usually it takes about 3 days for someone to move out of their home. If it's vacant, it could be immediately. So definitely, we're kind of like coordinators when it comes to this thing. We're like party coordinators or air traffic controllers.
And then like you said on the airline thing, people ask me, what are the exact numbers? And my answer is I can't give you exacts because there's prepaid interest, which means it depends on the close of date. We don't know if that's going to work. We have a lock. If we haven't locked the loan, then we talk about the interest rate, and that's where I have a conversation with a client, and I decide, hey, do you want the better rates or do you want more money towards closing costs? Because you can't get both. You can't get the best rate in the world. You hear, hey, 3.25%. I tell them, I can get you 3.25%. It'll cost you $8,000 or whatever it is for the day.
Well, it's give or take, right?
Yeah, well, can you pay our closing costs? Well, I can. It's not. Don't think it's a gift.
Yeah.
There's no gifts.
No.
If somebody told you it's a gift, in my opinion, that's not right.
No free lunches.
No free lunches. What they did, sure. So what they did was they just moved the rate up, and they used that money, and they were able to get your closing costs paid for, or whatever paid for. Again, which is clear to close. Clear to close means I've locked the loan, everything works. Everything we now know, we have a pretty much exact date. Now I can narrow in, and this is only in the last few days, man. This is like the last 3 or 4 days of the loan. Then I can get down to the exacts of how much you're going to come out of pocket, how all of this is going to work. I can get best guesses until we get right to the end, and just like that airline, the airline pilot analogy that you just used. The airline pilot is always kind of going to, he knows where he's going, and he's going to land up there.
Exactly. He has all those
but
little
he
buttons.
doesn't know exactly how much to
go
correct.
one down.
One, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't know exactly how much to correct until he gets close to, the airport.
Yeah.
When he gets close to the airport, then
We're in an elevator.
Yeah, we're a little nervous, man.
In the mission inn.
In the mission inn, just like that. Boom. Hi. Hello. They have a little bit of air conditioning here. That's just better. It's way better.
Yeah, so basically when it comes to closing, that was a pretty good point that you brought up with the interest rates. A lot of people are really conscious of that because it saves them money, right? Basically the better the interest rate. So you actually have you can actually lock it in for, how do you lock in an interest rate?
That's a very good question. Now there are brokers who broker the deal.
Okay.
They broker it, it's not a bad thing. They broker it. They go to somebody and they say, hey, listen, I got a loan. I'd like to send it through you, and I'll take my broker fee.
Right.
Then there's direct lenders. So Chris and I are direct lenders.
Right.
And what that means is we've already gone and we've secured the ability with like Wells Fargo or Chase or Ditech, where we can sell up our lines and lock directly. So we're direct lenders. We're not actually brokering it out.
Okay.
Now when I price somebody, I'll put their scenario in through my software, it's called Encompass, and I'll put my scenario in, and it'll give me 10 banks.
Wow.
And then it'll tell me who's the best at this exact moment. Let's just say it's Chase.
Yeah.
So and then I can spread Chase out, and it'll say, hey, you can get a 3.375.
You guys like this place?
5.50.
It's amazing, right?
Right?
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
I mean, we're locals, but we still come stay.
Us too. Enjoy.
So the interest rate, people.
4th of July. Fourth floor, man, it was awesome.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we saw the whole fireworks show. We were safe. We had all the amenities. It was awesome.
Cool, man.
All right, that's for you guys. 4th of July,
That's a little
4th floor, mission inn next year. Plan it.
life hack right there, man.
Life hack.
Yeah,
Let's get this background.
Man, I don't know how much it is, but
Love that.
4th of July.
Love that
Anyway,
door.
so like I was saying, on the interest rate, I'll pull it up and I'll show probably 10 banks, more than that.
Okay.
And then it'll say you can get 3.375, but it'll cost you this much, or you can get 5.5 and you can get $8,000 towards closing costs.
Oh, wow.
So I talk with the client and I say, okay, so now let's see what's the better scenario for you.
Okay.
And some people will say, hey, the better scenario for me is I want the lowest interest rate.
Yeah.
I've got some cash right now, so I want to do that. Okay, good.
Right.
So some of them say, hey, I don't have a lot of cash at the moment. So what I'd rather do is have you pay the closing costs and so on and so forth. And with that, we'll get a little bit higher rate.
Right.
So I choose that with the client. And they say, well, someone will give me a better rate, 3.37. I say, you know what? I'll just show it to you. And you can pick the rate.
Right.
I won't play games.
Right.
It's just real simple.
Right.
And a lot of, I think that's one of the customer service things that we do, is we actually sit there and work it through, and I'll educate them. I'll say, hey, as deep as you want to go learning interest rate, I'll teach you. Or if you just want me to tell you what I recommend and why, then I'll do that too.
Exactly.
So that's when we get to that spot. Once I lock that rate, then I know I'm either getting $8,000 towards closing costs, or it's going to cost $1,500 for the rate.
Wow.
So then I can fine tune the numbers,
Right.
and then we can get a real good estimate.
Wow. And that's a fixed payment for 30 years. You know what I mean?
And probably what I recommend for most people right now.
Exactly.
In fact, the 7-1 arms, the 5-1 arms, they're not coming in much better.
No.
The only way you get a really, really good situation if you do a 15-year fixed.
Oh, wow.
But the payment's going to be higher.
But 15
And,
years
yeah,
goes by like nothing.
Nothing.
That was like, what,
Shoot, like
2003?
nothing. And if you're in your prime earning years, this is where I sit down and have a conversation with the client. If you're in your prime earning years and you're making a lot of money and you would like to have this thing paid off, then maybe we should entertain a 15-year fixed.
Whoa, whoa,
Because the rates are going to be better.
That's crazy. It's like if you bought a house in 2003, right now, this year, you'd have a paid off house.
It's done.
Man.
Dude, no mortgage payment ever again.
Equity.
Yeah,
That's like the new sexy is equity, okay?
Wow.
Just to let you know.
Check this guy out.
Hey, man, you know, I try not to sell too much, but that is. All you guys agree.
So cool. Where do we go from there? What do we tell people from here?
Well, shoot, man. I mean, like when we're closing, I mean, let's give them the real stuff.
Okay.
People think that us realtors, we're just like big, bad, $1 million listing, you know, yada, yada, and we get paid on salary and all that. We don't get paid until you close, and sometimes a week after. So we are highly motivated to service you in that way.
Man, I elaborate on that.
Oh,
Let's add to this. Let's add to this.
Yes.
Okay, so you don't get paid until the transaction closes.
no.
In this situation, you are representing the buyer.
Yes.
Does the buyer pay you?
No, they pay me
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
nothing.
whoa, 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 whoa. So you don't get paid until the transaction closes,
Correct.
and the buyer that you're representing doesn't pay you a dime
Or they don't pay me anything. Not
because it's
zilch.
paid by the.
Seller.
So if you're a person thinking about buying a house, why wouldn't you hire a buyer's agent?
Yeah, for free.
Because a lot of them are trying to do it on their own just to save money, but there's no money to be saved.
Man, that's crazy. That's like fixing your own car, like, you know what I mean? Like, what the heck, you know what I mean?
For free.
Yeah, for free. Or
Yeah.
operating on yourself, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Okay,
Or
okay.
represent yourself in court, you know?
Right on. So
Shoot.
Lee took off. He's sightseeing right now.
Oh, I know,
He
like,
went,
where'd
he
he
went
go?
somewhere
It's
in the
lonely
mission.
over
And
here.
God knows there's a lot of nooks and crannies around here.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know where he's at. But this is a gorgeous place. But in the transaction, guys, where are we?
Woo. Well, we're
I found him.
We're at closing.
We're at closing.
Yeah.
So we're on our end. Lee, where are we? Are we at LE? Are we at CD?
Okay, so LE is loan estimate, okay? Now there's some mandatory time frames by Dodd-Frank, and for an LE I need 24 hours, for a CD I need 72 hours.
Is that an actual person, Dodd-Frank?
Dodd-Frank is Senator Dodd and Senator Frank
Okay.
that put together after the crash of the
Right in front of that.
2008.
Okay.
After the 2008 crash, they put things together that are supposedly better for the consumer, so that they can actually see things, process it, think about it, question it, you know, all these things. And it's law. It's not. So Senator Dodd and Senator Frank introduced the law, and they call it the Dodd-Frank bill law.
Gotcha.
So I have to shoot out an LE, which is loan estimate.
Okay.
Every loan officer has to do this. Licensed loan officer, and you've got to use a licensed loan officer, by the way.
Yes.
NMLS number, all that fun stuff.
All that.
So we shoot out the LE. We got 24 hours before I can do anything.
Right.
And then I shoot out CD, which is closing disclosure. Once I shoot out CD, I have 72 hours before we can move forward.
Wow.
Closing disclosure is when we get to the final numbers.
Okay.
And those final numbers, the client gets to see them, review them, go over them, all the paperwork, nothing's hidden. It's all there, and they have 72 hours, so nobody can rush them to say, here, hurry. So after LE and CD, then we do what? What's your favorite word?
Funding.
Funding.
I'm like,
Yes, okay.
Funding.
Yes.
F word, man. F word that is
So we
okay.
sign. Well, we sign first. We sign.
Oh, yeah.
We
Loan
sign.
docs, that big
Yeah.
ass loan docs
So
file.
after the 72 hours passes, then we can sit down with the client. And the client goes through, and these same documents that they saw, they cannot change. If they change, we got to start the process all over again. So once we get the CD, well, there's a little thing where you can move a little bit to the benefit of the client. If they change against the client, so I want to be technically correct.
Gotcha.
But then they sign, and they sit there with the notary, and they go over everything. And if they need me, they call me, or they need Chris, they call him, or
Right,
you.
right.
And then we go through the signing of the documents, and then after that, after we've signed, Then we fund. We go to the funding department.
Yeah.
It's not like really quick, here's the documents, give them the money. It's a process.
Right.
So they got to go through the funding department. The funding department makes sure we did our job right, the notary did the job right, you did your job right, everybody did their job right.
Right.
And then they fund. Now when they fund, people think that all the money goes away real quick. No. Fund is when the bank says, okay, here's our part, but who do they give it to?
They give it to the escrow.
You're right.
Woo!
Because what is escrow? Escrow is theoretically a non-interested third party.
Yeah.
Their only job is to execute what everybody agreed upon.
Yeah.
So what the lender agreed upon is, hey, we're gonna give you the funds as long as you meet all of this requirement, and we did. So we fund it. It goes to escrow. Then once it goes to escrow, they then disperse funds.
Right.
So from escrow, they send it out to whoever, the realtor, notary, broker, whoever else needs to go out to. That gets handled through escrow.
Right.
And then there's one more crucial step. And people always ask me, Lee, when do I get my keys? When do I get my keys?
Recording.
Yeah. When do I get my keys? Well, guess what? My answer is, I hate to say this, but I'm not the one who gives you your keys. No. I don't give you your keys. I wish I did, because that seems to me like the funnest part
No
of the whole...
close-ups on me. Moco
Yeah.
check. Moco check.
The funnest part of the whole transaction. But when I tell the client is, I say, hey, listen, Bernie and I have been working together throughout the whole process. Am I talking too fast?
No, I was laughing.
Bernie and I have been working together throughout the whole process. He gets to hand you your keys.
Yes.
But you don't get to hand it to him arbitrarily. No. You have to wait till they do what?
Record.
They have to record. Yes. Now that's the finalization of the transaction, because now we've told the world, hey, we're buying a house through the process. There's a loan number, there's an escrow number. All of this stuff is tracked. Right. And then they go to the county and they say, hey, guess what? As of this day at this time, this is the new owner. It's recorded.
Damn.
And once they record, what can you do?
I could give them the keys.
And that's their house.
Yes. And it's beautiful. That's what we all work for, and we try to do that at least a couple times a month, you know what I mean? And we love
the system has a lot of checks and balances. It has a lot. They check me to make sure that I'm not in cahoots with you and we're fixing up documents or anything like that. They want to make sure that everybody's doing the right job for the consumer. Right. All of this stuff is ultimately designed to protect the consumer. Right. And that's the important part. And done correctly, it really does a pretty good job. Right. It does a pretty good job of protecting the consumer.
And to keep it real, to keep it completely real, I mean, they're handing you over $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. If you were to let someone borrow $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, wouldn't you want some clearance?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want some requirements? Yeah. Make sure that they have a job.
Well, that happens sometimes. I'll get a client who's like, "Hey, Lee, they keep asking for my bank statements," and I'm like, "Yeah, I can't stand it." But they're trying to lend you $500,000.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a bit much to ask for your bank statements? They're like, Lee, I guess if you put it that way.
Yeah, and you can just walk away from that thing too.
Yeah.
Probably get a credit for that.
Yeah. So is that what you're looking to cover? The full transaction?
Yes.
From beginning to end? Have we missed anything, Chris? Did we miss anything?
I think you guys did a good job covering the transaction. I think it's a very detailed explanation, but let's do a real fast recap and make it simple. So step 1, meet a great agent.
Hey.
Step 2, great agent introduces you to a great loan officer.
Yes.
Step 3, loan officer gets you pre-qualified.
Right.
Step 4, great agent takes you back out shopping.
Yes.
Step 5, great agent puts offers in.
Yes.
And then they get accepted.
Yes.
Step 6, once accepted, the contract goes back to your great loan officer. Step 7, great loan officer puts it through the necessary chain in the bank, on the bank side.
Right.
Step 8, your great realtor will have certain documents and stuff to have you sign and cover with you.
Right.
Step 9, the loan officer gets back in touch with you throughout the whole transaction requesting updated documents.
Right.
Step 10, the realtor will then make sure all your inspections and everything is checked off, because there's something called contingencies.
Right.
Step 11, loan officer will get you docs.
A lot of steps, dude.
Get you docs.
Like step 99.
Step 12, you close. Step 13, you get your keys.
Yeah.
Lucky 13.
Yes,
Lucky 13.
Wow. How about
Lucky
step 1?
13.
Step 2, I own it.
When do we get paid? No, but 14, right?
Oh, here's another thing. So you don't pay him, and you don't pay him. So this is, for a buyer, this is the best thing you could go through, and you become a homeowner.
Exactly.
You guys agree?
I agree.
All right. So anything else you want to toss to these people before we call it a day?
We just want to say, if you're looking for any kind of questions or concerns, we don't have to be selling you anything to actually answer your questions. So go ahead and give one of us a call, and we'd be more than happy, or text. We'd be more than happy to, basically answer anything for you and assist you.
Yeah, and then we got Bernie Lawrence, #1 top agent, Lee Duran, the finance man, and me, CD.
Anyone at the Lawrence Exchange as well, you know?
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank
All right,
you.
talk to you soon.